What if a normal day suddenly turned into a search that changed a family forever?
Now, the search for Ashley Elkins, the Michigan hairstylist, has been missing since January 2nd.
What if the person closest to someone became the main focus of a murder investigation? And what if a simple disappearance led to a tragic discovery that no one was ready for? This is the case of Ashley Elkins, a young woman from Detroit whose life ended in a way that shocked her family and led to serious charges against her ex-boyfriend, DeAndre Booker. What started as concern quickly turned into fear, and then into a full criminal investigation that would leave many questions behind. A life with plans and responsibility. Before everything went wrong, Ashley Elkins was living her life in Detroit, Michigan. She was known by people close to her as a caring person and a devoted mother. Her child was a very important part of her life, and she focused on building a stable future for them. Like many young adults, she also had relationships that came and went, and one of those relationships was with her ex-boyfriend, DeAndre Booker. From the outside, things may have looked normal at times, but later events showed that there were deeper problems that were not visible to everyone around them. The day she went missing. In early 2024, Ashley Elkins suddenly went missing. Family members became worried when they could not reach her. This was not normal for her, as she usually stayed in contact with her loved ones. Calls were not answered, messages were not returned, and her absence quickly raised concern. At first, her family tried to locate her on their own. They reached out to friends and checked places she was known to visit. But as time passed with no sign of her, fear began to grow. Eventually, the situation became serious enough that police were contacted and a missing person case was opened. A search that raised more questions. Once police began their investigation, they started by looking into Ashley's last known movements. They spoke with people close to her and tried to rebuild her timeline. Detectives also began looking at her personal relationships, including her connection with her ex-boyfriend, DeAndre Booker. This is a normal step in missing person cases, as investigators try to understand who last had contact with a missing person. As officers gathered more information, the case slowly became more complicated. Each new detail led to more questions, and the search continued without clear answers for some time. A discovery that changed everything. As the investigation moved forward, police made a discovery that changed the entire case. Ashley Elkins was found dead. This moment turned the missing person investigation into a murder case. The focus immediately shifted from finding her to finding out what happened to her and who was responsible. The news was devastating for her family, who had been holding on to hope. Now they were forced to face a heartbreaking reality. Police began treating the case as a homicide and increased their efforts to gather evidence and build a clear picture of events. The investigation focuses on a suspect. After Ashley's death was confirmed, investigators began reviewing everything again with more focus. They looked at phone records, messages, and any communication she had before she went missing. Attention quickly turned toward her ex-boyfriend, DeAndre Booker. Police examined his possible involvement and checked his movements during the time Ashley disappeared. Investigators tried to connect the timeline of events with available evidence. As the case developed, they believed they had enough information to take legal action. This led to a major step in the investigation that brought the case into the courtroom. The arrest and court appearance. DeAndre Booker was arrested and charged in connection with Ashley Elkins' death. He was taken into custody and later appeared in court for initial hearings. During these hearings, the charges against him were formally presented. Prosecutors stated their case, while the defense began preparing to challenge the claims. At this stage, the court process had just begun, and no final decision had been made. However, the arrest marked a turning point in the case, as it showed that investigators believed there was strong enough evidence to move forward with charges. Evidence and legal arguments. As the case continued in court, both sides began presenting their positions. Prosecutors pointed to evidence collected during the investigation, including phone data, communication records, and other findings that they believed connected DeAndre Booker to the crime. The defense argued against these claims and questioned the interpretation of the evidence. The courtroom became a place where every detail was carefully examined. The judge and legal teams reviewed the information step by step, while Ashley's family listened and waited for answers. The emotional weight of the case was heavy, as each hearing brought back painful memories. Family grief and community reaction. While the legal process continued, Ashley Elkins' family was dealing with deep grief. Losing a loved one in such a sudden and violent way is extremely painful, especially for a family that had already been searching for answers. Friends and relatives spoke about Ashley as a loving mother and a caring person who meant a lot to them. In the community, the case also gained attention, as people tried to understand how such a tragedy could happen. Many followed the news closely, hoping for justice and clarity. For those who knew Ashley personally, the pain was not just from the loss, but also from the unanswered questions surrounding her death. The case moves through the justice system. As time went on, the case continued through the legal system. DeAndre Booker remained in custody while hearings and court proceedings continued. The justice system required careful review of all evidence before any final decision could be made. This process takes time, as both the prosecution and defense prepare their arguments. For Ashley's family, the waiting period was very difficult. They had already suffered the loss of someone they loved, and now they were waiting for the court to bring clarity to what happened. The legal process became the only path toward answers. A case that left a lasting impact. The murder of Ashley Elkins left a strong emotional impact on everyone connected to the case. It showed how quickly life can change and how deeply such events affect families. It also highlighted how complicated personal relationships can sometimes lead to tragic outcomes. While the legal process continues, the focus remains on finding justice for Ashley. Her story is not just about a crime, but about a life that mattered deeply to her family and community. The hope now is that the truth will be fully understood through the court process and that her loved ones will eventually find some sense of peace. The case of Ashley Elkins remains a painful reminder of loss and unanswered questions. As the legal process continues, her family continues to wait for full justice and closure. What is clear is that behind every case like this is a real person, a real family, and a life that meant everything to someone. If this story touched you, make sure to like and subscribe for more true crime cases. Turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. And share your thoughts in the comments about this case and what stood out to you the most.